all. And everything I've seen, everything I've read, everyone I've spoken to has generally been very supportive of this. When I've done the research, the cost map out. Yes, there's some risk to the grid where there is a requirement for more flexibility, but I'm yet to see a credible article or anything that explains that a grid has collapsed because it was renewable based. Now, I'm going to caveat saying that the war in Ukraine, Russia has put new pressure on Germany, but that pressure's come from a sudden lack of access to a certain type of power. And you may criticize and go, well, Germany should never have come off nuclear and relied on energy from another country. But I am also aware, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Denmark that is now some days producing more? Like some days it's fully 100% renewable, or it achieved 100% renewable. Can you check that, Danny?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from wind power. Same with Scotland. Scotland has 100% wind powered days. And that is, I mean, to be fair, those are a little bit of a vanity metric because...
But first you get there, and then you get there again, and then you stay there. Denmark is well on its way to achieving 100% renewable electricity generation by 2030. According to new research by Global Data, the country is unlikely to be the only one of the Nordics to achieve this feat, with Norway and Iceland already near 100% renewable generation, but it would mark a notable improvement for a small European nation. In 2014, Denmark saw 45% of its electricity come from a renewable source, namely wind power. However, that's grown significantly with the country seeing renewables. Yeah, I mean, this is impressive.
But presumably places like Iceland are really easy because it's all hydro and a tiny population.
Yeah, Iceland is geothermal.
Oh, geothermal, sorry,
yeah.
from the
volcanoes.
And
Norway is mostly hydro.
Yeah.
But, you know, a couple things to point out, like, it depends how you do that accounting, right? So you could say, over the year, we used 100 units of electricity in Denmark, and we produced 100 units of wind energy in Denmark. So we're 100%.
Right.
But in real time, every second of every day, was there enough wind generation to power Denmark? That's not the case.
No.
And the reason that, you know, a country like that can do it is that it's a highly connected grid. So they can import power from Sweden, from Norway, from Germany, from, you know, they have interconnectors between these countries. And now the UK is building interconnectors to all these European countries as well. That's part of the energy transition as well. More interconnected grids that allow us to move power, you know, from place to place. So again, that is a little bit of a vanity metric, but you're right. We're moving in the right direction. And there are, you get to this much renewable penetration on the grid, and then there's challenges. And then you have to solve those.
But again, the trajectory is in the right way.
Absolutely. In my view, yeah.
And if you look, if you're listening and you don't believe in climate change, you don't have to care about this. We can't ever go to 100. We could never go to 100% renewable anyway, right? Unless we had some massive breakthrough in battery technology, and we still need backup baseload, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all a bit theoretical.
Yeah,
you're right. But yeah, it does rely on, in my view, relies entirely on long duration energy storage, and that way of storing what you would call seasonal amounts of energy, like you store up all the wind in winter to discharge in summer or something, and that is a ways off.
But a mix of nuclear, hydro, solar, and wind would be a pretty good mix.
Yeah, which is
for reducing carbon in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it would. I mean, that is pretty much what grids like the UK, Texas, etc. You know, what they're all. That is the mix that we have today on most grids. Like, you know, we're going to have 5, 10, 15% solar in places. There is a challenge though, you know, to getting to higher amounts of renewable mix on the grids. And this is one of the reasons why we founded Optimized Infrastructures. We saw a problem in solar that's going to be a real restraint on the growth of solar that can be solved by Bitcoin mining. That restraint is, well, let me pose it to you as a question. So you own a solar farm in Texas, and you look at the weather forecast tomorrow and you say, it's a sunny day, right? And you say, brilliant. I'm going to make a lot of money tomorrow because I have a solar farm. We're going to generate a lot of electricity. We're going to sell it to the market. It's a sunny day. The reality is, it's not just a sunny day for you. It's a sunny day for every solar plant in Texas. And you're all going to produce energy at the exact same time. And you're all going to flood the market with power. And the exact hours when you're going to export your sunny day electricity are going to be the hours where power prices are extremely low.
But I'm smart. I'm going to store mine in a battery because I've seen the next day it's going to be raining. And when those motherfuckers are selling it cheap, I'm going to be selling the next day.
So that's you just explained the rationale behind solar and storage. But this is a real problem today. It's called solar value deflation. And once you get past a certain point, like once you get past a certain penetration of wind or solar on a grid, the economics,
they don't work.
They don't work. And it's an anti-network effect.
Huh.
Every new solar plant decreases, erodes the economics of every existing solar plant and every future solar plant. And you basically hit this point where, it doesn't make sense anymore to build more. And it's because we kind of have a line at Optimize where we like to say renewables are prisoners of time and geography. You just don't have any flexibility. You don't have an option. You generate when the sun is shining, right? That's a real problem. And that is holding back the growth of solar in every geography where it's, kind of like getting to a meaningful amount of the grid mix.
Well, that's why you said though, like you've been saying, we need a mix. And it's a complex problem to solve, but we need wind, we need solar, we need hydro, we need nuclear. Hopefully we can move away from coal and gas and natural gas. That's the kind of dream scenario.
I think that's the likely outcome. I mean, because that's where technology costs are falling so fast. Like what Jeff Booth says about how technology drives deflation. The greatest example of that, probably in modern history, is solar. Costs are down, like, compared to 20, 30 years ago, solar costs 1/10 of what it did then. It just gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and then it drives change in the system because it just gives you more options. People start to use it in new ways, new solutions emerge. It's like a forcing function on the energy system. That is a perfect example of like technology-driven deflation. So you can generate a unit of electricity. I'm not saying you can generate it whenever you want. You can generate it when the sun shines. So you do have to think a little bit about that part. But you can generate a unit of electricity for a fraction of the cost that it would, of what you could have done 20, 30, 40 years ago.
But we got the example of the Texas solar farmer with batteries, but do you want to give it with Bitcoin mining as well?
Yeah, so that's the problem, right? Solar value deflation. The other problem is curtailment. The grid just says we can't handle it's too sunny in Texas today. We can't handle all of your power, or we can't handle power specifically where you are because the power lines are maxed out. So you could produce 100 megawatts at your farm, Peter, but today we're only going to let you export 50. Sorry. We don't care about your business case and that you planned to export 100.
But I'm smart and I put a Bitcoin mining operation on.
That's right. So if you co-locate solar, storage, Bitcoin mining, and you have a grid connection, you basically have the most flexible energy asset you could.
What if the grid needs my energy, but I'm making more from mining Bitcoin? I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to mine Bitcoin. Is there any risk to the grid there?
I guess that comes down to the price of Bitcoin. There's a load of things that go into
there's
that.
All
right?
real-time pricing of energy.
All the real-time.
So the grid will have to pay.
We'll have to outcompete.
Yeah, we'll have to outcompete it.
The way the grid will have to pay. And that's how it works. That is how the energy system works. That's why the prices go up.
Isn't it
critical
incredible?
days.
There was an example of that. Like, I know we spoke a bit before. London's grid nearly went down. You saw that after like the heat wave, and they bought energy. I can't remember where
from Belgium.
They were paying like 10 grand a megawatt hour.
Yeah, from Belgium.
Crazy.
That's an example of like a locational problem. It wasn't that there wasn't generation somewhere in the UK, but they couldn't get it to southeast London and Kent, and obviously Belgium is located just off the coast in southeast of the southeast of the UK. That's where the interconnector from Belgium lands on the UK grid. So that was the way to get getting power to a specific place is the challenge. It's not just anywhere on the grid, a megawatt is a megawatt. It's about it being in the right place where it's being consumed.
The highest price on record for electricity.
Fascinating.
Just to like sketch out that vision of what Bitcoin mining would do, it's like, why is solar and Bitcoin mining not being done today? There's loads of Bitcoin mining activity going on in the States. Most of it is build the biggest miners that you can, connect them to the grid, and then try and like operate them in a pretty smart way, make as much money as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's not like mining is not coupled with the growth of solar. They're kind of like separate. They're separate things. We see a future where you will, in the industry, what you say co-locate. You put on the same site solar, batteries, and Bitcoin mining. You also have a grid connection, but that gives you the maximum flexibility. You now have a system where you basically have free energy input coming from the solar. You can use your storage to kind of like shift through time, but you also have optionality. You're not a prisoner to the prices on the grid anymore. You have optionality whether you can mine or export at any given time, or you could even import if you're allowed on your grid connection to run your miners. And this is not like you have 100 megawatts of solar, so you should have 100 megawatts of mining. We're talking about a small amount of mining. So maybe if you have 100 megawatts of solar, you might have 1 megawatt of mining or 2 megawatts, right? Just a small percent, but it gives you optionality. It gives you a way to use all the stranded surplus power that's being kind of like missed around the edges on solar. Because like in a place like Australia, they're talking about curtailing 20% of solar energy is the forecast. The grid's just not going to be able to take it. They're going to 20% of the time, you build it into your business case from today that whatever you think you're going to generate, it's probably going to be 20% less than that because we're just not going to be able to take it. So that 20%, where's that going to go? Well, today it's just purely wasted. Just gets burned in the inverters, basically. You put mining on that site. You now have free energy going into the mining, but it's not always available. So you need to be clever about how you build that system, and you need to make decisions in real time. It's not as simple as just running the miners 100% of the time. It's basically, you need a really clever kind of optimization system that says, oh, it's going to be sunny for the next hour, so let's put the excess power into mining. Or, oh, we're going to get curtailed now, so let's start the miners. That kind of, you need real-time decision-making to make it work with solar. So it's complex. That's why it's not being done today. But there's a genuine opportunity there, and there's a problem that can be solved. That's what we're trying to do at Optimize, is build that software that will take all those inputs in and basically tell that system what to do.
It's fascinating. I'm constantly blown away by the way that Bitcoin mining has become this integral part of growing and developing an energy grid. It blows my mind.
Yeah, and we're from the energy side. Like, my expertise is from the energy side. Our company comes from the energy side. We see genuine problems in the energy system today. And this is the message like that I'm always trying to give to the energy industry. We have genuine engineering challenges on the grid today. And if we give Bitcoin mining an honest chance, it's a novel solution to a lot of those problems. And it's just not being used. It will be. I think, in 10 years, it's going to be commonplace. It'll be like, because solar and storage went through the same thing. It was kind of crazy to put batteries on a solar site. Now that's become commonplace. That took about 5-10 years. Mining is going to go through that same curve, in my view, and just become part of the furniture.